When someone close to you loses a loved one, what's better to say than I'm sorry? What I learned from my mother Julia Kastorf. I learned from my mother how to love the living, to have plenty of vases on hand in case you have to rush to the hospital with peonies cut from the lawn, black ants still stuck to the butts. I learned to save jars large enough to hold fruit salad for a whole grieving household, to cube home canned pears and peaches, to slice through maroon grape skins and flick out the sexual seeds with a knife point. I learned to attend viewings, even if I didn't know the deceased, to press the moist hands of the living, to look in their eyes and offer sympathy, as though I understood loss even then. I learned that whatever we say means nothing. What anyone will remember is that we came. I learned to believe I had the power to ease awful pains materially like an angel. Like a doctor, I learned to create from another's suffering my own usefulness. And once you know how to do this, you can never refuse. To every house you enter, you must offer healing, a chocolate cake you baked yourself, the blessing of your voice, your chaste touch. Offer to bring them food. One of the more difficult things to do during the initial stages of mourning is to eat properly. The closer the mourner is to the deceased, the harder that is, because a series of important decisions have to be made in great haste, such as organ donation and funeral arrangements and memorial services. The rest of life doesn't slow down in the meantime. Then there's the will, or the lack of one, and the quest for important documents. There's going through personal belongings and arranging an estate sale. The less organized the deceased was, the more daunting that gets. Wedding rings and rare childhood photos turn up among unopened mail. Long dormant storage lockers contain a pile of garbage with a valuable vintage science fiction collection in the corner. Then as often as not, there's at least one relative who tries to steal an inheritance, while another is an overgrown child who tries to make the funeral all about themselves. It's exhausting. Tangible assistance is often sorely needed, and home-cooked food is the safest option, because it's one of the things that falls by the wayside during that crush. Some people hate this, and it's understandable, but the most comforting thing I was told after losing my dad was, it's just going to suck for a while. After tolerating mountains of, I'm so sorry, I know how you feel, God is watching over him now, blababbity blah etc. I thought I was going to snap all over again. A dear friend held me close and told me, it's just going to suck for a while. Life will suck for a while, but it's going to pass, come back, pass, and come back again over and over. It'll never stop entirely hurting. I cried harder than I had since he was diagnosed, but they were tears of relief and release. Her words still comfort me almost 3 years later, but I know for a fact not everyone would appreciate it. I suppose those words are just good if you know your loved one has a disdain for repetitive pleasantries and religious explanations. I'm sorry is still a hell of a lot better than what I got, which was, you're the man of the house now. It's your job to take care of your mother and sisters. It was always my responsibility to look out for them. That's what families are supposed to do. But when my dad died, the only concern people had for me was what I was supposed to do for others. Nobody went to my sisters and said they should be looking out for me, like I hadn't just lost my father. I never even had a real chance to really mourn my dad before I was being bombarded with responsibility. Hell, people were cracking jokes about when I was going to get married. My well-being was the least of their concern. They were only concerned with what I was supposed to be doing for others. And because of it, I still feel guilty for not being better, more capable, stronger. I'm still not sure I'm not being selfish for wanting people to console me, like they were my mom and sisters. Like, I'm happy people were doing that for them, but I'd have liked to get a piece of that too. Sadly, at 31, I had lost my mother in 2008, my 2-year-old daughter in 2016, and my sister in 2018. If you're talking about at funerals, family gatherings etc., it doesn't matter too much. It's just a long blurry dreamlike state for a lot of people. They also know that you probably don't know what to say. They don't either. Don't be afraid to bring up good times. It hurts, but it's also healing. Don't say they're in a better place, you'll meet again, they're always with you. That shit gets old fast. I get why people say it, But nobody is ready for that shit at funerals. All they want is that person back. Save that for another day. Just say it from the heart. More often than not, at the very least, you'll get an E for effort. Active listening and validation really helped me when my friends died. People saying things like this is such a tragedy and so sad, my heart breaks for you, that have to go through this at such a young age. Things like that honestly made me feel like what I was going through was valid and made me feel understood. What really upset me was when a person would look at me blankly and say I don't know what to say. That would make me feel so awkward and made me feel like I had to apologize that my grief was awkward for someone else. There is no right thing that can be said, so just listen, hug and show support. That means the world to someone grieving. Also, people rally around you in the first month or two. Please check 3, 4, 6 months down the line when the person feels like everyone else has forgotten or moved on. This will really help and let them know someone is still there and they can talk about it. I'm a big believer in feeding the grieving. Losing someone, especially suddenly, is a huge shock to most people, and they find it hard to eat. There's not much to say that will make it better, but acts of service, such as giving them food, cleaning their apartment if they are too depressed, or even just taking their car to refill their gas tank, can help a lot when someone's in that frame of mind. However, I will note this. When I miscarried, a nurse came into the room and said, "I know that nothing I can say will make this better, but I'd like to give you a hug." I have lost many people in my life, and that was the best response to my grief I have ever experienced.